So businessman Dr Richard Maponya's memorial service will take place in Johannesburg this morning. Yesterday, President Cyril Ramaphosa granted Mr Maponya a special official funeral category 2 to be held next Tuesday. The president has also instructed that flags be flown at half-mast from today until the evening of Dr Maponya's burial. For more, we now cross live to our reporter Mbalenhle Mthethwa, who is at the Rosebank Union Church. A very good morning to you, Mbalenhle.
Good morning to you too, Desiree. We are indeed at the Rosebank Union Church, where family and friends and family of Dr. Richard Maponya are coming in for the official memorial service to pay their respects and remember the life of Dr. Richard Maponya. We know and understand that tributes have been pouring in since the news broke on Monday. We've heard President Cyril Ramaphosa calling him the doyen of black business. We've also heard multiple members from the black business community speaking very highly of the life and times of Dr. Richard Maponya. But to speak to me right now, I'm joined by Thebe Galafeng, who's written an article about his experience and how he will remember Dr. Richard Maponya. Thank you so much for speaking to us. You've called him an inspiration and an example, a great example of what leadership and fathership is, and also a pioneer. Talk to us about that.
Well, if you see, look at the number of people who are going to attest to the life of Dr. Maponya today, you'll see people like Abel Mashaba, who is going to speak to the fact that he was inspired by him to get into the business that he is, to become an entrepreneur from a township that he became. You'll get people like Peter Vondla, who will be speaking today as well, speak to how Richard inspired them. He is a pioneer, because who in those 50s, 60s and 70s would have dared to start a mall in the middle of a township against all apartheid's laws? Who in the middle of those days who would dare to fight apartheid when they said to him, you need to, you cannot start a business here, you cannot serve white people, you cannot create a life for yourself. And he did that for himself. He became an inspiration for a lot of black people. You know, as young black kids growing up in a township, we used to see him as the first black guy to own race horses. You know, him and Marina owned race horses, were the first black family to do that. And we used to look at it as, oh my goodness, so it is very possible for all of us to achieve the level of success that they had. But I think he's also an inspiration because even in his later years, when he started the Maponya Institute for Entrepreneurs at University of Johannesburg, we can see that even from the days when he started NAFCOC in the 60s, 70s to now in his late 90s when he started the Maponya Institute, you can see he's a man who also has been a development-minded man. He understood that success for the black continent, success for the black people is not just for himself but for everybody else. And that's why in an interview that I did with him, I asked him, why did you find it so necessary to fight against the system? Why did you find it so necessary to go against apartheid and to prove yourself? He says, well, if I didn't do it, I would have let my people down. We are here today to testify that he did not let us down.
And that obviously speaks to his community rootedness and how he lived for his community and relied on his community to, catapult him into the business person that he is. We understand that he started out very small, and basically the quintessential and the epitome of everything big really starts small, because we understand that he started small, going from house to house, selling to people. Talk to us about that.
Well, he started supplying them with fresh milk because, growing up in the townships, we did not have fridges, and he used to get bulk milk and serve it in small packets, supplies to people in the township. He started selling clothes to people in the township. Started selling the clothes on lay-by. Those days when we couldn't afford to pay full for one item, and make it possible for our parents, our grandparents to be able to afford those. I think the secret of his success, or the legacy of his success, is that he became great among our people by serving our people. That's why, even on his deathbed, when or rather the day before he died, when he brought together the whole family, the one thing he told them all, he says, do not forget the community. He says, whatever you do, you need to serve the community. He was a community man from the beginning to the end. He was an African from the beginning to the end. He cared greatly about South Africa and not about himself. And he understood very well that his success is South Africa's success. And he understood very well that he will be an inspiration, not just for the people among the people that he lived with, but for the next generations as well.
And what lessons do you think young people should learn from the life of Dr. Richard Maponya?
the most important lesson is never allow obstacles to stand in your way. Whether it's the obstacle of apartheid, whether it's the obstacle for the instance in 1948 when he went to register his presence in Alexandra after moving from Limpopo, as we used to do as black people. We had to do that when you move from one place to another. And when he went there and they took his ID, and he fought for most of his life trying to fight to get back his ID, which he cannot fight, which you cannot find anywhere else. So persistence has been important. But also, apartheid put so many obstacles in front of him, but he overcame every single one of them. Most important lesson is resilience. And the second most important lessons, it is, as Mandela said, it is impossible until it gets done. And he got it done all the time.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. There you have it. That was Tebe Galafeng speaking to us about the resilience that Dr. Richard Maponya showed during his life and times, where he fought the oppressive apartheid regime that worked very hard to keep black business people outside of the mainstream economy, and he overcame every obstacle. In an interview that he did with one of my colleagues, Francis Hurd, he talked about how the reason he was so resilient and so tenacious was because he chose not to take no as an answer, and he always went back to the table and tried to renegotiate some of the laws that were preventing him from starting his retail shop and going into business and becoming the black business giant that he is and that we know him to have been today. But for now, it's back to you in studio.